I guess the first plan is always to look at something. I've got a little rust hole here, little one here, here, some small little pinholes here. Kind of a, I guess this is kind of a big one that could stand to be cut out and replaced, that whole section right there. A couple of little rust holes there and over there. I would love to, and I don't know if I can do this without setting the car on fire, because I might need to pull down the inside of that so the fire, if I do any welding out here, doesn't set my headliner on fire, is what I'm trying to say. But well, wouldn't it be sweet if I could get this sealed up today? Now, I'm not talking about doing professional work where you take out the windshield and you strip this all down to bare metal, and I'm just talking about welding up the big holes, maybe putting some kind of putty. I was thinking about that putty that we use on the firewall, and I was thinking, well, if I had a good coat of Pour 15 all over this inside of this lip all the way across here where that was coated really good with that stuff, I wouldn't mind sticking it full of that putty to keep it from getting any more water in there until I can come to the point where I'm ready to pull this apart and address it in a more serious fashion. That would allow me to drive the car sooner without having water basically go inside the car, which is obviously not good for the car. If I'm going to be welding up holes in the floor, I need to address the water coming into the car before I do that. A lot of people say, why don't you weld that floor up while you're in there? And I think, well, I could, but first I ought to weld up the holes up top so that the water don't come in there no more. It seems like that would make more sense to me. There's no point in fixing the floor if you ain't fixed the roof. That's what I was thinking anyway. So anyway, if I chisel this out of the way, it'll give me a plan. Now I'm looking at this rain gutter. Right in here it's pretty bad off. I'm thinking, well, I could cut that rain gutter there, and I could cut out a little section of this metal right here. Probably the best thing to do would be to go ahead and take the headliner down where I can get inside of that, and it would probably make sense to paint the whole underside of this top with Pour 15 too. If I'm going to open that can, I might as well try to use it all up. So if I took my headliner out and I coated everything out here, up under here, and all with Pour 15 first, then I cut out the big holes and welded some new pieces of metal in there. Whatever else beyond that can be done with little Bondo and such. Now there may be a connection issue right in here. If I stick my screwdriver there and wiggle it, I can see this thing kind of wiggling up from the top of the windshield here. So I'm guessing it looks like this piece came up and curled this way. This piece came down and curled that way. There's probably some spot welds in there that are also rusted out that I may be able to see from the inside. I am thinking I'd like to do this without taking that windshield out, because to me, and I might be wrong, I'm sure there's people that do this all the time. I watched this guy's video over in Australia, and he took a, well, let's see, I've seen Home Motorsports do it. Of course, he's got a glued in windshield. These aren't glued in, but you have to take all these chrome pieces off and put them all back on. Get them off and back on there intact, as well as all the internal pieces to get that windshield out. And then you got this whole rubber molding thing, which probably cost, oh, I bet if it didn't cost $100, I'd be surprised if it didn't cost more than that. Maybe $200-300, I don't know. But if I could just kind of get this fixed good enough for me and have the windshield and all the chrome and everything stay in place, oh, I would like that much better. I would like that much better, because it would become a weekend project rather than a, you know, when you work 5 days a week and the only time you have to work on them is on the weekends, then you go into a project where you're taking the windshield out and doing all this work. You're talking about a month or 2 or 3, and I'd still be working on it come springtime, as opposed to having a workable top where I can drive the car, which I'd love to do. Now, you know, it might make sense to take this top and rub it down with some rough sandpaper, and just take a coat of Pour 15, coat the whole top with it, and then come back on top of that and put a layer of external primer, because Pour 15 doesn't do well sitting in the sun. And then at some other point I can come back and work sand down, do whatever I need to do when I get ready to do that top. Cutworm or somebody talked about he didn't like station wagons because of those big tops. Maybe it was Mr. Comatose, maybe it was George. Somebody, it could have been George, I don't know. Somebody was talking about, you know, the problem with the station wagon is you got those big tops, it's hard to get all the dents out of them. I don't care about that. I shouldn't say I don't care, but I don't care. I don't care much. That's not very high on my list of priorities. If I got a few dents in my top, okay, keeps the rain out, I'm good with it. You know, I just ain't going for that kind of perfection. See, that gutter is good running all across here. There's some holes here that could be fixed, but that's not a hard place. You know, I could literally cut out some little sections there with some little careful grinding work. Oops. I shouldn't say oops, but I just got some metal down in that hole. See, I could cut out some of these bad spots, put a whole new piece of metal in there. It may make sense to cut this section of gutter rail out and replace it, or it may make sense to try to leave it there and work around the edges of it. I haven't decided about that part yet. Alright, so I'm going to shut the camera off, stop talking a little bit, and just do some more of this digging around. Okay? Okay.